Hey everyone, I'm Sinai, your Forster guy. Rosaria exists now. She has a great normal attack combo, a skill that deals cryo damage on a 6-second cooldown, as well as an ultimate that deals cryo damage over the span of 8 seconds on a 15-second cooldown, with an energy cost of 60. Wait, that sounds familiar. Oh yeah, Kaeya! Alright, now don't get me wrong, I think Rosaria is amazing and everything, but she is so similar to Kaeya that I don't want to hard sell you guys on getting her when everybody essentially has a fully functional clone of her already. Now of course, she does have some differences with Kaeya, and all of her talents do slightly different amounts of damage, so in this video I'll basically be comparing the exact same character with itself. I love my Rosaria to be exactly like my Kaeya, level 80 with a level 8 normal attack, and level 6 on her skill and ultimate, so I can make a fair comparison when testing her out for feels. Okay, so Kaeya works really well as a cryo damage dealer that uses freeze, usually with Chongyun to imbue Kaeya's normal attacks with cryo and Xingqiu to do the hydro damage. Rosaria can do the exact same thing. Kaeya can also work as a physical damage dealer using superconduct. Rosaria can also do that. I pretty much use Rosaria in the exact same teams and snatch Kaeya's artifacts when I use her as a main damage dealer. As a damage dealer, she is functionally the same, but let's try to make some distinctions between them. As far as stats go, Rosaria has a slightly higher base attack of 240 at level 90 compared to Kaeya's base attack of 223 at the same level. Since many characters' base attack stats are mostly from the weapons they use, this base attack difference from these characters is negligible for the most part. Rosaria does have a better ascension bonus than Kaeya in my opinion too. Rosaria gains attack percent as she ascends, while Kaeya gains energy recharge. It could be argued that energy recharge is a better stat, but I think there's a certain point where you don't need energy recharge stat points to use your ultimates often if your team can generate enough energy particles, while attack can always help increase your damage. While we're at it, let's talk about passives. Rosaria's first passive increases her crit rate by 12% if her skill lands a hit on an enemy's back. Considering how her skill works, this should be in effect most of the time if small enemies are around, and you can also get behind certain larger enemies by freezing them. I'll talk about her second passive later since it has more to do with her being a support. Both of Kaeya's passives are not game changers by any means, but are nice. One of them gives you a small amount of HP when you use your skill based off your attack stat, and the other gives you a couple of extra energy particles if you freeze an enemy using his skill. Honestly, I haven't noticed the second one being useful too often, if at all, since if you are using a permafreeze build, it is likely that other cryo attacks could be the one that freezes the enemy, like your ult or your normal attacks if Chongyun is on your team. I think Rosaria wins here too in the passives category, with her little crit rate buff. They both have utility passives that are useful in the overworld though. Kaeya decreases your stamina consumption from sprinting by 20%, and Rosaria increases your movement speed during the night by 10%. They are both useful, even in combat, but just know that Rosaria's movement speed increase does not take effect in domains or the Spiral Abyss. I think that Kaeya's utility passive is slightly better since you can use it all the time and he can give you more chances to use your dash to do things like dodging or getting in better positions in a fight. Obviously, one of the biggest differences between them is their weapon classes. Rosaria is a polearm user while Kaeya is a sword user, but I still think that this will make less of a difference than you may think. I do think that polearms offer access to stronger options like the Staff of Homa, Primordial Jade Spear, and obviously the Crescent Pike for physical builds. There's also the Deathmatch, Dragon Spine Spear, and even the White Tassel that are good, but I don't think that they are as strong as some of the sword options. As for swords, there is the Primordial Jade Cutter, Aquila Favonia, the Flute, Black Sword, Harbinger of Dawn, and Prototype Rancor. All of them pretty strong options as well. I think that the strongest options of the polearms slightly edge out the best sword options. As for their talents, I will try to keep this short. They have very similar scaling, so even though I will say that one does more damage than the other, keep in mind that it's by a pretty small amount. Kaeya deals more damage using his ultimate. Rosaria's skill deals a little more damage. Kaeya's normal attacks scale better, but Rosaria's charge attack deals more damage than both of Kaeya's charge attack hits combined. Even though Rosaria has a stronger charge attack, I feel like the lunging animation it puts you in misplaces the character from getting follow-up hits quickly, especially since it seems like it has a lot of end lag. On top of requiring more stamina to do the charge attack itself than Kaeya, as well as needing to cancel the attack animation and readjusting your positioning, you are probably gonna need to use more stamina to do a dash. I think that Kaeya's charge attack is more reliable to use, especially on frozen enemies since your charge attacks won't flank people away, allowing you to just keep using your charge attacks without needing to use a dash in between. At the moment, I think that if Rosaria is the main damage dealer, using her skill, ult, and normal attacks, she will do more damage than Kaeya. This is because of the increase in attack she gets from ascending, her slightly higher base attack, as well as her crit rate boost from her passive and skill. Kaeya does deal a little more damage as a support though, as a character who switches in to use their skill and ultimate, since Kaeya's ultimate is stronger than Rosaria's by a pretty considerable amount. Kaeya's ultimate may seem hard to hit sometimes, since its hitbox is small and close range, but it is also very possible for Rosaria's ultimate to miss a lot too sometimes, since enemies can walk away from its area of effect. Since we are on the topic of them being supports, I want to mention that even though Kaeya's ultimate does more damage, Rosaria can boost the crit rate of the team, except herself, by 15% of her own using her ultimate due to her second passive. I think that Kaeya's energy recharge ascension bonus is more useful as a support too, since when a character is off the field, they do not gain as much energy as the active character. Kaeya's ultimate also procs cryo more often. It should be known, however, that not every hit of his ultimate applies cryo. Even though his ultimate does a lot of instances of cryo damage, it's only about half the hits to actually apply the element. From what I've observed is that every 4 hits of his ultimate, the first and 4th hits apply cryo. So basically his ultimate has 13 hits of cryo damage. The 1st, 4th, 5th, 8th, 9th, 12th, and 13th hits do it. After Rosaria's first 2 hits of her ultimate, which both apply cryo, she only has 4 instances of cryo damage over time after that. If you want a character to help you apply cryo for a reaction like melt, Kaeya can help you do more melt reactions, but Rosaria's crit rate boosts can also be valuable. If you don't need your cryo support to have as many cryo applications as Kaeya, Rosaria would probably be better. Also, reminder that their skills, cooldowns, ultimates costs, ultimates cooldowns, and the ultimates durations are the same. Their constellations do set them apart, but in many ways, I still think that the buffs they get from their constellations are comparable. Both of their 3rd constellations increases their skills talent level by 3, while their 5th ones do the same for their ultimate. Pretty standard stuff. I think that from the constellations that boost the levels of their talents, Kaeya has it a little better since his ultimate is stronger. Kaeya's first constellation increases his crit rate using his normal and charge attacks on cryo-affected enemies, which is great on permafreeze teams and usable for superconduct teams. Rosaria gets a buff to her normal attacks too from her first constellation. When scoring a crit, she gets a 10% attack speed and normal attack damage increase. I think that these 2 constellations are comparable, but I think Rosaria's is a little better since she already has a way to buff her crit rate using her passive, and she just gets an attack speed and normal damage buff on top of that. Both of their second constellations increase the duration of their ultimates. Rosaria's increases her ultimate's duration by a flat 4 seconds, while Kaeya can get 2.5 more seconds for every enemy that is defeated during it. According to the wiki, the in-game description is wrong, and it does not have to specifically be the ultimate to kill the enemy to get the duration increase. Kaeya's second constellation gives his constellation a higher maximum boost, but it won't be too helpful at all on boss-like tanky enemies. Rosaria's 4th constellation gives Rosaria 5 energy when her skill lands a critical hit. It is a pretty underwhelming constellation, honestly. Kaeya's 4th constellation gives him a shield when he's on low HP, which is like, okay, I guess. Rosaria's 6th constellation decreases the enemy's physical resistance by 20% for 10 seconds when she uses her ultimate. This is a pretty neat constellation, and with it she can be better used as a support for a physical damage dealer or be her own physical damage dealer. Kaeya has a similarly awesome 6th constellation, where he gets an extra icicle for his ultimate and gets an energy refund of 15 when he casts it. This can make him a stronger cryo damage dealer and support. As you can probably tell, Rosaria is a great character, but so is Kaeya. They are so similar in terms of the situations they're used in, and their effectiveness in those situations is extremely close as well. I honestly think that it would not be worth it to roll for Rosaria from this banner if you have no interest in the other characters on it. If other new 4 stars are anything to go off of, she will be available all of the time after a couple of banners pass, and she will have more raid ups in the future. Kaeya is a character that everyone has access to, and all that Rosaria can do differently is do a nearly unnoticeable amount more damage as a main damage dealer, give the team some crit rate, and have a slightly weaker ultimate. If you already leveled up your Kaeya, there is hardly any need to roll for and build Rosaria. Your Kaeya would already be good enough. I would say Rosaria is worth rolling for if you were already interested in getting Child or the other 4 stars. But of course, if you are still excited to get Rosaria regardless, hey, go for it. She's great, and I don't think that it is a mistake investing in her if you choose to. If you feel like the better choice is to wait for her to come out in another banner, I hope this video can help you feel better settling with Kaeya. He has always been a great option. Either way, I hope you come to a decision you're happy with. Thank you for checking out my channel. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed what I had to say. I do Genshin Impact tips, character guides, team comps, and the occasional mess around video. I might be a little more busy in the upcoming weeks with school, but I hope you can look forward to whenever my next video comes out. See you next time.